how's it going everyone? Blueknight here and welcome back to another Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart video. So as you're all likely aware, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart was present at this year's Gamescom opening night livestream with a full uncut demo for the game, which I did make a video where I essentially analyzed the entire demo. If you're interested in checking out that video, the card is in the top right corner. Anyways, this video is going to be sort of a follow-up video to that video. I just said video like 3 times inside of 30 seconds, as there was a few things that I missed in the demo itself, as well as a new interview that seems to indicate that the game is introducing a multiversal aspect. What do I mean by this, you might ask? Well, it simply means that there are going to be alternate dimension versions of Ratchet's dimension, which was already confirmed by Insomniac Games themselves a few days after the game was announced back in June. This also means that there are quite possibly alternate dimension versions of various characters to accommodate these alternate dimensions, like Ratchet, Clank, and Dr. Nefarious. Now this theory has been floating around ever since the game was first announced, especially when the mystery female Lombax appeared at the end of the trailer, leading many, like myself, to suspect that she could be an alternate dimension version of Ratchet, seeing as she's clearly a Lombax but has a tail, unlike Angela Cross from Ratchet & Clank 2 who did not have a tail. We'll come back to this later on, but I did make an in-depth video discussing this matter, and if you're interested in checking out that video, the card will be in the top right corner. Well anyways, Insomniac Games also confirmed that she is from another dimension not too long after the game's announcement, therefore validating our theories. Then afterwards, some, like myself, started thinking that if this mystery Lombax is an alternate dimension version to Ratchet's character, then where is her dimension's version of Clank? Did they get sent to Ratchet's dimension? We still don't know that info just yet. But then Dr. Nefarious comes into the picture, and longtime fans recalling Dr. Nefarious's character development in All for One, it brought to question as to which canon this game was following, post-Nexus or post-reimagining. Insomniac Games' Marcus Smith, during the Gamescom opening night livestream, confirmed that Rift Apart is an extension, or in other words, a sequel to Into the Nexus, and not a sequel to the 2016 reimagining, which I'm sure made a lot of fans happy. But once the Dimensionator was mentioned in the demo, which was before the aforementioned confirmation, I think everyone instantly knew that it was taking place post-Nexus, just for that reason alone. Now about a day after the demo premiered at Gamescom, another interview popped up by GamesRadar with creative director at Insomniac Games, Marcus Smith, and seemed to further indicate that the game is going for a multiversal plot. Let me bring up the exact section of the interview. With the original games, we were trying to tell this story that revolved around, strengthening these two heroes, who are basically diametrically opposed. They don't see eye to eye on anything, but they're better together. We really wanted to make sure that we had a message about that these are, tumultuous times, and people need to have more empathy and see past each other's differences to make sure that we're made stronger together, right? It's the overarching message of the franchise, and with Rift Apart, we're trying to tell a story that involves seeing another version of these characters who have never really become the heroes that they could be. So we immediately started talking about this duality of multiple dimensions, and then, of course, we already had this device, the Dimensionator from the franchise, that does what we need it to do. Notice that in the first 2 paragraphs, he's referring to Ratchet & Clank, and then in the third, he shifts over to implying other versions of these characters who have never really become the heroes that they could be. And this is where I guess this new mystery Lombax being playable comes into play, something else that Insomniac Games confirmed a while back. But I now have to ask, where does Nefarious fit into this multiversal aspect? Well, as I've said before, the Nefarious that we keep seeing and hearing about in this game is not the main series Nefarious, nor the reimagining Nefarious, for reasons that I'm sure you guys know by now if you've been with the channel for a while. Simply put, the Nefarious in the main series seems to have turned good, and most likely would not resort to trying to take over the universe again. Maybe. While the reimagining Nefarious was turned to a robot after trying to destroy a system of planets. Okay, so this Nefarious might try that, but again, there are differences between the reimagining Nefarious in his robot state compared to the Nefarious in Rift Apart. For example, the different eyes being one of the differences. But the latest demo seems to give some weight to this theory of this being a completely new Nefarious, not just because of the missing crack on his head, which could have easily been fixed, the new eyes, which still creep me out a bit, and the new robotic filter added to his voice, which, come to think of it, maybe this is a possible indicator that this Nefarious was never an organic life form to begin with. We also have to take into account that at the same time this Nefarious appeared in Ratchet & Clank's dimension, Nefarious had already taken over the dimension that Clank winds up in at the end of the demo, which is both close to the start of the game and where we meet the new female Lombax, where even the citizens are called Nefarious citizens. No, that is not what it sounds like. If we look at the demo, it refers to the civilians of the respective cities, well, based on their respective cities. For example, in the demo, Megalopolis citizens are called, well, Megalopolis citizens. The same thing is simply being implied here. But I mean, did this Nefarious just name the city that he took over after himself? Like, seriously? You need to be a bit more creative. Either that, you got big ego. Anyways, what this citizen says is very interesting, and I quote, "His greatness," implying Nefarious. You see that Nefarious hologram back there? Is breaking into the other dimension. He did it. The part, "his greatness," sounds to me what someone would call an individual in power, or in other words, serving them. In fact, the Insomniac game's description for the announcement trailer alludes to Dr. Nefarious as a robotic emperor working overtime to wipe out organic life with their own, meaning Ratchet & Clank's, universe next in the firing line. So let's say that this Nefarious is more merciless, brutal, and less goofy or crazy than his main series counterpart, and actually conquers this dimension. After doing so, and hating organic life forms for some reason, he learns of his own dimension's version of a Dimensionator, and tries to break into another dimension to conquer it as well. That dimension being Ratchet & Clank's, which could explain why this Dimensionator is different than the previous models that we've seen in the series before. But then how does he even know who Ratchet & Clank are? My guess is that this Nefarious appears at some point near the start of the game, faces some opposition from Ratchet & Clank, who think that this is their Nefarious from All for One, at least going off of Clank's dialogue near the end of the demo. Did Dr. Nefarious really resurface after all these years just to take over the universe again? So yeah, if I was a betting man, I'd say that this is a completely brand new Nefarious. And you know what would be cool to see? Is if we had a battle between both the main series Nefarious and this new Nefarious. Kinda like a grand finale of sorts. I'm really hoping that does happen at some point in the game. But since there's this multiverse aspect to the game, and that we're quite possibly seeing alternate dimension versions of both Ratchet and Nefarious, and possibly Clank in the near future, I wonder who else we'll see an alternate version of. I mean, the possibilities are truly limitless, but I would personally love to see an alternate dimension version of Captain Quark. One where he's actually a hero rather than the credit-taking coward that we all know and love him to be. Okay, the movie he was slightly less cowardice, but you get the point. And one last thing I want to quickly mention before ending the video is going back to the GamesRadar interview with Insomniac's Marcus Smith. He's actually asked about the canonicity of female Lombaxes in Ratchet's dimension lacking tails, yet the new Lombax does. Yes, we already know that she's an alternate dimension version of the Lombax species. Well, I just thought his response was pretty interesting. I will say that in the dimension that Ratchet is from, and that we are used to, that very well could be a rule of Lombax physiology. Again, it's definitely not a straight answer, like people have been wanting for years, as it seems that they're pretty determined to keep this particular topic
one of nature's mysteries.
Who knows, maybe we'll find out one day about this particular story. I mean, come on, there's a story behind this. Come on guys, you can't keep it a secret forever. But anyways guys, that's all I really have to say for this video, besides that a multiverse plot existing in the Ratchet & Clank franchise is very exciting, and I can't wait to find out more about this. And hopefully you guys stuck through the entire video. If you did, you guys are awesome for listening to me rambling on about alternate dimensions in Ratchet & Clank. And hopefully it made some sense to someone, because I'm still really confused, to be honest. So as always, be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below about this potential Ratchet & Clank multiverse in Rift Apart, as well as any theories you guys might have. I'm really interested to see them. But also be sure to hit that subscribe button to be notified of more Ratchet & Clank news and updates as they happen. Once again, thank you all so much for watching and the support. I've been Blueknight, and I'll see you guys back here next time.